Hey guys, I'm John Redgrave here from the Worship Cohort. I'm here with John and Jared from Desperation Band. Thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you.
I just want to take a moment to really just talk to you guys and just really talk about the beginning for each and one of you. And we'll start with you, John, about how you began in worship and where you first started.
Yeah, I grew up in a church in New Jersey, and actually as our church was going through an amazing season of the Lord just really pouring out in our meetings. We were having endless worship services of hours. I was the drummer, so I just learned worship and learned what that meant to connect to the divine and through those hours of meetings when I was a high school kid. And that's what, those years and those times is what the Lord used to help me understand and realize that I really wanted to do this with my life. And so I went to college and then ended up at New Life Church in Colorado Springs and as a worship leader, and I've been chasing after it and pursuing it ever since.
Awesome. And you?
Yeah, I started drumming at a really small church in Colorado when I was young, and it was a really small church, so they didn't have any other options for a drummer. So I kind of was default. I got the job and really just fell in love with worship and music there, and then started going to New Life when John was the youth worship pastor. And over the years, just through our friendship and relationship, kind of entered into drumming for the D band.
So, from what I know, the Desperation Band, part of their heartbeat is obviously you were birthed out of the youth, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And a big portion of that is the conference atmosphere that you guys
Yeah.
put in. So tell us a little bit of why that is your heartbeat of you as a church ministry worship band.
Yeah, we just kind of, we wanted to call young people to prayer. We wanted to call young people to passion. So it was 10 years ago, we just, let's gather, let's have a gathering. That's really as far as it went, it's called desperation, we're desperate for God in our lives. We're in desperate pursuit of Him. And that was it. We wanted to get kids praying and fasting. And we did 3 full days of praying and fasting. That's how it started. It wasn't meant to be all this glamorous kind of stuff. And 10 years ago, it certainly wasn't popular to do something like that with a bunch of young people. And the first gathering was just unbelievable. We had written a few songs for this idea, and why not? We had a friend who said, let's roll tape on those songs. We had no idea what we were doing. And we had no ambition of songs, going out, or, I think we kind of didn't even know that was possible. But, that's how it started, with just a gathering young people to pray and fast and give their lives to the Lord. And we do that locally with our kids. And then we did this at this event that we invited anybody. And people started coming. We've been doing it for 10 years, and we've seen, every summer now we do 2 of these events, and 4,000 or 5,000 young people at each one, and we do the same thing, just like we started, worship, prayer, full on. Around the clock, and it's just growing. It's just young people rising up. They want something real. They want to take their passions and put it on something that lasts. Yeah, and it's been tremendous. It's been really awesome. Amazing. Yeah,
it's awesome. So there's obviously a translation with you being on the road and being at your home church. Mm-hmm. How do you guys find the ability to balance the two of being at a home church and serving, but also serving other bodies of churches in different areas around the country?
Mm-hmm. You have to have a great relationship with your church. We would never do this unless our church covered us. We would never do this unless we had a good relationship with our pastor, to say that we send you. I have the saying, we don't want to be tolerated, we want to be celebrated by our church, by our covering, by our authority, and we submit to that. We come under that covering. And so anytime we're going out or anytime we're leaving, it's because we've been sent out by our church.
So when you're birthing new songs from your congregation, obviously, and when you're on the road, what does that songwriting process look like for you guys? Like, how does it begin, and how does it come to life?
Man, we just love Jesus, and we want to just be in tune with what He's doing, and gosh, He's already done so much. We want to draw attention to that. He's doing so much. We want to draw attention to that. So to be a part of a local church is like you're totally, completely tapped into those ideas all the time, because you're involved with people. You're in the mud with people, you know, dealing with their everyday issues.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with the sweeping dreams of the Lord for a body. And so it's just phenomenal material for songwriting, for sure. And you know, you're listening to your pastor and people that are in authority over your life that you trust, bringing perspective on the Word of God constantly. It's just constant material for songs, and I love it, because if you could turn these ideas that the pastor is preaching or what God is doing in your church, if you turn them into song, they become a soundtrack for what God is saying already. You know, and so that we stick to that idea. We want, you know, we see what God is saying, we see what He's doing, we see what He's done, and we want to write for that.
That's awesome.
And it's awesome, you know.
So there's this organization that you guys are a big part of, Heartwork.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that and how people even might be able to get involved and partner with you.
Yeah, it's, you know, we've been singing as much as we can over the years and writing as many God songs as we could write. Even, you know, shouting at the heavens for revival, for Him to move. And it's been over the last few years we feel like the Lord has just answered so many of the, you know, the years of praying, years of singing, with this idea that we are revival. We are, you know, compassion. We are freedom. We are these things, and that there's this incredible burning desire in our God to cover the earth with His glory, but His plan is to use us. So we've been turned upside down by the truths in the scriptures of caring for the widow, for the orphan, for the less fortunate, for those in slavery, and they're just everywhere around us. They're all over the place. They're here, right here in Atlanta. They're, you know, people in the same room as you often are just suffering. And God has spoke loudly to us to be freedom for these people, to be hope, to be Jesus. And so we, with our young people, we wanted to reach them in a, I don't know, in this, you know, obviously in a significant way, like any youth pastor would want to reach. And we felt like the Lord dropped on our heart to have our kids maybe engage in some of this idea. Right. So we tried to raise money to build an orphan home, you know, over in Uganda. We had some friends over there, some connections there, and we thought, well, that process would really engage our kids. It was really something that we just want to reach our kids. Love the idea of reaching orphans, but we want to reach our kids. And anyway, everything just exploded from there. We ended up in 8 weeks. The kids didn't raise enough money to build one. They ended up raising enough money to build 4 orphan homes. We ended up going over there multiple times, and our heart was completely destroyed by the issues that these kids were facing. And we were meeting girls who were rescued from the sex trade, and it was just, our minds were just blown open about what's really happening, what's really going on. And what was happening was we realized that our lives were being rescued. Our destinies were being rescued by us helping rescue the destiny of other people, of the less fortunate, of the orphan, the widow. And it's just changed everything for us. You know, we want to keep praying, we want to keep worshiping as hard as we can. The more we do that, it leads us to action. It leads us to caring for others. It leads us to building a little hut that costs $600, but to some woman who doesn't have a home, it's everything to her. You know, it leads us to that, and the more we do that, the more we're just touched by this heart of the Father heart of God. So it leads us right back to prayer and to worship, and it becomes this cycle that ends up speeding up, and our lives are completely messed up, completely different. So Heartwork, it was our ministry to our youth group. We just wanted to engage young people in this thing. It exploded with our young people. It's changing their lives. We have countless young people who've given their lives to the ministry, to missions because of Heartwork. And so we built a website called heartwork.tv. Any young people could build, you know, you could build a group, 2 or 3 people, or 50 or 100. Go on the site, you could look at all the projects, these orphan projects, you engage with those projects. And we're just trying to shout it out that young people are rising up to not navel gaze the rest of their lives. They're looking out, and they're looking to touch lives and touch people. It's phenomenal what we've seen with young people.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are both, this has been a busy year for you guys. In this year alone, you have 2 projects that you've been working on in this time frame. Tell us about the one that has already been out that people are more familiar with, and the one that is just a new baby recently.
Yeah. Well, Update Live came out, I think, in September of last year. October. And that was like, we recorded that live at our conferences, uncut, untouched after we recorded it. We didn't overdub anything, and it was really kind of our attempt at just showing like this is who the D band is live. Like there's a 17-minute song on there, and it's with like our kids at the conference, just passionate, raw, like. So it's kind of all the songs that we actually do now. Over the years, there's a pretty large catalog of songs, but it gets narrowed down to what we actually do on the road and in church and everything. So that was that project. We love that because it's really like such a true representation of how we worship. And then center of it all is the studio project that's coming out. I don't know, John, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's we're really excited about this project. Just see a lot of new kind of things have happened in our camp through this project. We've done a lot more writing with other people. There's been a lot of collaboration. We're really finding that the Lord is doing some awesome stuff with the community of writers, and awesome stuff with lots of names on the songs, and so it leads back to a community, doesn't lead back to individuals, and it's really cool what's happening there. Plus, we want to write great songs, and you need each other. You need the different brains and different ways of thinking and vocabulary and the challenging theology. We challenge one another. It's awesome. So that has happened, and then we also, for the first time, we've done everything within our church, kind of in-house. We went outside and had an outside producer help us with this, and we really wanted to take things to new levels musically as well as the quality of songs. And so we were being led by the Holy Spirit to lean on others and to grow in that, and to be stretched and challenged and put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. And we did all that. We took all the boys and out of Colorado Springs, and we went down to a studio in Nashville with Paul Mayberry, who produced it. He's a great friend, but he's a phenomenal producer and musician, and he helped us. And the fruit is it's been awesome. It's really telling, and we're very, very excited. We released a single last week, and it's kind of just a precursor to the main release, April 10th. We're a bit giddy, to be honest, about it, and we're just excited, and we can't wait to release it. We really can't wait to start singing the songs more, and so
we're excited for you.
Thank you.
Well, let's just with one closing statement, something that you guys could instill into somebody who's maybe a new youth pastor, or even the worship pastors that are just experiencing your movement across the nation. What is one thing in your experience that if you could say one thing to them, you could instill to them, what would that be?
I grew up in New Jersey, and there's a mayor of Newark, New Jersey, which is it's a rough city. And I heard a quote of his just the other day. It says, "We're all born perfect originals, but sadly we all die carbon copies." Right. And I was struck by it because I do find, especially within artistic Christian communities, there's a temptation to emulate others that God is using, when God is just saying, "I want to use you for you." So I would just encourage anybody just to be themselves. They're meant to be themselves. There's a mark that God has on their life that He wants to use. And we really stifle that process when we're busy trying to be others. We're busy trying to be something else. And God has, He kind of has a design for you, and to run with it and to be confident in that, and let Him work through you, not through you trying to be somebody else.
Awesome. And you, Jared?
I would say, don't be afraid of the journey. At New Life, we've been through, our church in Colorado, we've been through an incredible journey over the last 5 or 6 years, including just a lot of terrible tragedy and also some incredible moments of joy and rejoicing, and we've just walked through a lot, and like that journey, what that's done to us as people, the result of that has been really incredible. And we tend to forget sometimes that we're all on a journey and kind of just like can only see the moment that we're in. But the Lord's got us, you know, in the palm of His hand. He's taken us somewhere, and He's doing things with us.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to forget that, or be afraid of it, you know. So I would say don't be afraid of the journey, and remember that you're actually on a journey with Him.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. And everybody at home, you can visit worshipcohort.com to learn more about what's going on in your area. And if you want to know more about what's going on with Desperation Band, you can check out
DesperationBand.com.
Awesome.
Perhaps.
And follow them on Twitter and see what they're doing, because these guys are crazy. They're everywhere. So thank you guys. See you soon.